All right, let's dive in. Today we're going to tackle those tiny but mighty compounds called micronutrients.
Micronutrients.
I've got an excerpt from an article, Why Micronutrients Are Far More Important for Your Health Than Macronutrients. And get this. It claims neglecting them could be linked to some serious health issues, like even cancer and Alzheimer's.
Really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? The article highlights how much we tend to fixate on calories and the big three, right? Carbs, proteins, fats.
Yeah, the macros.
Exactly, the macros. But we often forget about the little guys, those vitamins and minerals that are just as important.
I'll admit I'm guilty of that too. I'm always focused on hitting my protein goals, but haven't given much thought to micronutrients. So what are they exactly? Why are they so important?
Okay, so think of macronutrients as the fuel and the building blocks for your body. You need them in large amounts. Micronutrients, on the other hand, they're more like the specialized tools, the catalysts that keep everything running smoothly. They're involved in every single metabolic process and cellular function.
Wow.
Things like magnesium, potassium, vitamin C, A, E, and K.
So if macros are the fuel, micros are what? Keeping the engine running.
Exactly. And you know what's really fascinating?
What's that?
This article, it points out how crucial they are for maintaining the integrity of our DNA.
Oh, wow. So these tiny nutrients have a direct impact on our genetic code.
That's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. Tell me more about that connection between micronutrients and DNA.
Well, research is showing that micronutrients play a key role in DNA repair, protecting it from damage that could lead to, serious health problems down the line. For instance, vitamins A, C, E, and D act as antioxidants.
Like a rust-proofing for your cells?
Exactly. They fight off those free radicals that can damage DNA.
So these vitamins are like our DNA's defense squad, protecting us from what? What else?
Well, the article highlights other micronutrients like folate, vitamin B12, and iron. They're crucial for actually building and repairing DNA. Think of them like the construction crew, ensuring our DNA blueprints are in tip-top shape. And then you've got minerals like zinc and selenium.
Right.
They're essential for, think of it like accessing and utilizing the information stored in our DNA.
Okay.
It's like making sure the genetic library is organized and the books are readable.
Wow. So neglecting micronutrients is like leaving our DNA vulnerable, open to damage, which could then lead to those serious health consequences we talked about.
Exactly. You got it.
But here's what I don't get. Why haven't these crucial nutrients gotten the attention they deserve?
That's a great question. For one thing, it's a pretty specialized topic. Even doctors don't receive that much training in nutrition,
Yeah.
Plus, nutrition science itself is a pretty young field. The article mentions the first vitamin was only identified in 1926.
Wow, that recently. It's surprising how much emphasis we put on calories when the science of what those calories are made of is still relatively new.
Yeah, and the article actually argues that this calorie counting craze, which started in the 1920s, has really overshadowed the importance of, the nutrients themselves. We've been so fixated on how much we eat that we've kind of overlooked what we eat.
So we've been missing a big piece of the puzzle this whole time.
Absolutely. But thankfully, there's a shift happening.
Oh, good.
Research is revealing just how powerful food really is, how it interacts with our hormones, our genes, our overall well-being. It's not just about calories anymore.
Right.
It's about nourishing our bodies on a cellular level.
So there's hope for us yet. This is making me feel a bit more optimistic. But what does this shift actually look like? What are we supposed to do differently?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll dive into in part 2.
All right.
We'll explore how our modern food system can sometimes work against us and what we can do to make sure we're getting those essential micronutrients even in today's world.
Sounds like we have a lot more to uncover, so stay tuned. We'll be back with part 2 of this deep dive into the world of micronutrients, where we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how to make sure you're getting enough of these tiny but mighty compounds. Welcome back. We're continuing our journey into the fascinating world of micronutrients. Micronutrients. In the last part, we were discussing how important these little guys are for things like DNA repair, right? And our overall health.
Yep.
But if they're so essential, why is it such a struggle to get enough of them these days?
Well, that's where our modern food system comes in.
Okay.
The article we've been looking at, it points out how the dominance of just a few large companies in food production, it's created a system that isn't always aligned with our nutritional needs.
So it's not just about making those healthy choices at the grocery store. It's also about navigating a system that might be working against us.
Exactly. These companies are often focused on, well, profit,
Yeah,
not necessarily on producing the most nutrient-rich food possible.
I see.
Think about it. They're prioritizing things like high yields, long shelf life, appealing appearance.
Right, right.
And those factors, they don't always translate to the highest levels of vitamins and minerals.
This is creating a dilemma then. Even if we're trying to eat healthy, the food we're buying might not be as packed with those nutrients as we think. What can we do about that? Should we all become backyard farmers?
Well, that's one approach.
Yeah.
But the article highlights a more practical solution,
Yeah.
focusing on those nutrient-dense foods.
Okay.
Think of it as a treasure hunt for the most nutrient-packed options within the system we have.
Okay, I like the sound of a treasure hunt. So what are some of the treasures we should be on the lookout for?
Well, the article specifically calls out green vegetables, especially those from the cruciferous family.
Okay.
Think broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage.
I eat a lot of those.
They're not only a great source of fiber, but loaded with antioxidants and tons of vitamins and minerals.
Nice.
Nuts and seeds, another treasure trove. They're packed with healthy fats, protein, fiber, and a bunch of those key minerals we discussed, like magnesium, zinc, selenium.
I do love to snack on those. It's nice to know they're doing more than just satisfying my cravings. What about fruits?
Absolutely. Fruits are bursting with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
Yeah.
And try to eat a variety of them.
Okay.
To get a nice broad spectrum of nutrients.
Makes sense. I try to eat a rainbow of fruit every day. Berries, citrus fruits, melons.
Love it.
Love them all. Anything else we should be adding to our shopping lists?
Legumes, another fantastic option.
Sure.
Excellent source of plant-based protein and fiber. Plus, they're packed with vitamins and minerals, including iron and folate. And remember, those are essential for DNA synthesis and repair.
Legumes are so versatile, too.
Yeah.
And affordable. I need to start incorporating those more often. It sounds like we've got a pretty plant-focused list going on here.
You're right. Plant-based foods are definitely the stars when it comes to micronutrients. But the article also mentions organic meats as a good source.
Why the emphasis on organic? What's special about that?
The article raises concerns about the impact of conventional farming practices, on the nutritional content of the meat.
Okay.
Organic farming tends to prioritize the animal's well-being and avoid the use of, well, things like antibiotics and hormones, which some experts believe can potentially affect those nutrient levels.
So it's not just about what we eat, but how it's produced. It seems like being a savvy consumer these days requires so much thought and research.
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about being informed, making those conscious choices about where our food comes from and how it's grown.
Right.
But it's empowering to realize that we have more control than we might think.
This has been a real eye-opener. We've gone from, understanding what micronutrients even are to recognizing how the way our food is produced impacts its nutritional value.
And we've only scratched the surface. In part 3, we're going to shift gears a bit and delve into the potential consequences of not getting enough of these essential micronutrients.
Okay.
We'll explore that link between micronutrient deficiencies and the development of chronic diseases. It's a crucial piece of the puzzle that will help us understand the full scope of their importance.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive on micronutrients.
Micronutrients.
We've covered so much, from what they are to how they affect our DNA, right?
Right.
To how to find those nutrient-dense foods packed with them. But now I'm a little nervous to ask, what happens if we don't get enough of these essential nutrients?
Well, that's a really important question.
Yeah.
And one that the article addresses head on. It makes a strong case for the link between micronutrient deficiencies and the development of some serious health problems.
Okay, I'm ready. We've kind of hinted at this connection throughout our conversation, but let's get specific. What kind of health risks are we talking about?
The article points to a higher risk of developing chronic diseases like, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, even autoimmune disorders.
That's a pretty serious list. I know we talked about how important micronutrients are for DNA repair, but I'm still not quite getting how that connects to these specific diseases.
Okay, so think of it this way. Our DNA is constantly under attack from things like free radicals, other environmental factors.
Right.
And those attacks can lead to damage that, if it's not repaired, well, it can cause cells to malfunction and even potentially become cancerous.
So those micronutrients we've been discussing are like the repair crew for our DNA, making sure everything stays in good working order.
Exactly. Micronutrients are absolutely essential for those repair mechanisms to work properly. And when we don't have enough of the right vitamins and minerals, our DNA becomes more vulnerable to damage, and that damage can build up over time.
That makes sense for cancer.
Yeah.
But what about Alzheimer's? How do micronutrients factor into that?
Well, research is increasingly pointing to oxidative stress as a major contributor to Alzheimer's.
Oxidative stress.
It's basically an imbalance between free radicals,
Mm-hmm.
those damaging molecules,
Mm-hmm.
and antioxidants, which
Yeah.
are like the good guys that neutralize them.
Okay. And certain micronutrients act as antioxidants, right? Like vitamins A, C, and E.
I got it. Those vitamins are like bodyguards for our brain cells, protecting them from damage, the kind of damage that can lead to cognitive decline.
Okay.
And when we're deficient in those antioxidants, well, our brains become more vulnerable to that oxidative stress, and that can contribute to Alzheimer's.
So it's like our brains are constantly under attack, and those antioxidants are crucial for keeping them healthy and functioning well.
Exactly. And the article even highlights that it's not just those specific vitamins,
Really?
other micronutrients like vitamin D, certain B vitamins, they've also been linked to cognitive function.
So it's a whole team effort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so far we've connected micronutrients to cancer and Alzheimer's. What about autoimmune disorders? How do those fit into all of this?
Well, the immune system is incredibly complex.
It is.
And it relies on a really delicate balance of different cells and processes.
Right.
Micronutrients play a key role in regulating that immune response. For example, vitamin D. Crucial for the development and function of our immune cells.
So if we don't get enough vitamin D, our immune system might not be working as effectively as it should be.
Exactly. And that can lead to all sorts of problems, from being more susceptible to infections to even developing those autoimmune disorders where the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues.
Wow. It's pretty amazing to think that something as simple as not getting enough of certain vitamins and minerals can have such a big impact on our health. It can affect so many different systems in our bodies.
It really highlights how everything is interconnected, right?
It does.
Our diet, environment, genes, it all plays a part. And micronutrients are, well, they're an essential piece of that puzzle.
This has been both fascinating and eye-opening, but also a little bit overwhelming,
Yeah.
It's empowering to learn about these things, but also a bit daunting to think about all the factors we need to be aware of when it comes to our health. So for our listeners, what would you say is the most important takeaway? What's the one thing they can focus on to make sure they're getting enough of these essential micronutrients?
The article's call to action is really clear. Focus on those nutrient-dense foods. Fill your plate with colorful vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes. Don't forget about those lean protein sources. Prioritize quality over quantity, and be mindful of where your food comes from. And if you have specific concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor or a registered dietitian.
Great advice. This deep dive has definitely changed how I think about nutrition. It's not just about counting calories anymore. It's about nourishing our bodies at a much deeper level. And it all starts with those tiny but mighty micronutrients.
Absolutely. By making informed choices and putting those nutrient-dense foods first, we can really empower ourselves to live healthier, more vibrant lives.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of micronutrients. We hope you've learned something new and are inspired to make those micros count. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.